There is a river in Texas that disappears, not a trickle, not a stream, a full river that vanishes straight into the earth and reappears miles downstream like nothing happened. There is a mountain range in West Texas that used to be an underwater reef. There are 3 million bats that tornado out of a single hole in the ground every single summer night. And somewhere in the desert near a tiny town called Marfa, mysterious glowing lights have been floating through the darkness for over 140 years. Nobody knows why. Texas is not just big. Texas is a completely different world, and most people have barely scratched the surface. These are 25 insane facts about Texas. Geography, culture, folklore, and weather that most people will never know. Fact 25. Buried caves. Texas hides over 13,000 known caves, sinkholes, and springs beneath its surface. 13,000. That is roughly 20% of the entire state sitting on top of a hidden underground world. Most are buried in the limestone hills of the hill country, carved out by millions of years of water cutting through rock. Some of these caves hold blind salamanders that have never seen light in their entire lives. Others shelter millions of bats. You could spend your whole life exploring underground Texas and never see it all. Fact 24. Lightning strikes. Florida gets the nickname. Texas keeps the record. In 2024 alone, Texas recorded 40.4 million cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Florida had just over 15 million. Oklahoma and Kansas combined barely hit 24 million. Texas hit 40 million by itself. When Texas summer storms roll in from the Gulf, the sky does not just light up, it erupts. Fact 23. Glowing orbs. Since 1883, glowing orbs have appeared in the desert sky near the small town of Marfa in West Texas. They flicker, they drift, they split apart and merge back together, and then they vanish. A cowboy first spotted them over 140 years ago. Scientists have studied them for decades. The theories range from distant car headlights to underground quartz energy to Apache campfire spirits to something no one has a name for yet. The official Marfa Lights viewing platform gets visitors from all over the world. The lights still show up. Nobody still knows why. Fact 22. Disappearing river. In the hill country near the town of Concon, the Frio River does something that should not be possible. It disappears. The water seeps down through cracks in the limestone beneath the riverbed, travels through underground tunnels in total darkness, and then reappears miles downstream like it never left. Kayakers have watched it happen. One moment there is a river beneath them, the next, there is dry rock. It is one of the strangest things water does anywhere in America. Fact 21. Tornadoes. On average, 137 tornadoes tear through Texas every single year. That is more than any other state on Earth. The Panhandle and North Texas sit dead center in Tornado Alley. For a lot of Texans, tornadoes are not a weather event. They are a season. Storm cellars out there are not a luxury item. They are a necessity. Some families have spent thousands of dollars building reinforced underground shelters beneath their homes. Not because they are paranoid, because they have seen what happens when they are not ready. Fact 20. Underwater mountains. The Guadalupe Mountains in West Texas rise nearly 8,750 feet above sea level. 265 million years ago, they were completely underwater. This entire mountain range was once a massive tropical ocean reef, filled with sea creatures, coral, and marine life that no longer exists anywhere on Earth. When the sea evaporated, the reef hardened into limestone. The mountains rose, and today the sheer cliffs of El Capitan are made of fossilized reef, ancient marine life, frozen in stone, standing a mile above the desert floor. You can drive up and touch it. Fact 19. King Ranch. The King Ranch in South Texas covers 825,000 acres. That is bigger than the entire state of Rhode Island. It is slightly larger than the entire country of Luxembourg. Founded in 1853, the King Ranch did not just raise cattle, it created its own breed of cattle, the Santa Gertrudis. The first breed developed in the Western Hemisphere. It pioneered the American cattle industry as we know it. Most people call it a ranch. In Texas, they just call it the King Ranch. Fact 18. Galveston destruction. September 8, 1900, a Category 4 hurricane made landfall at Galveston, Texas. The storm surge reached 15 feet. The island was swallowed whole. Between 8,000 and 12,000 people died in a single night. It remains the deadliest natural disaster in United States history. The city of Galveston was nearly erased from the map. In the aftermath, Houston rose to take its place as the dominant Gulf Coast city. One storm rewrote the entire geography of Texas. Fact 17. Rainforests. Most people picture Texas as flat, dry, and blazing hot. The Chisos Mountains in Big Bend National Park would like a word. These peaks rise to 8,000 feet, high enough to trap clouds and pull moisture out of the desert air. At the top, there are oak trees, maple trees, pine forests, and alligator junipers. Scientists call it a sky island, a cool, lush microclimate, completely surrounded by one of the hottest deserts in North America. While the valley floor hits triple digits during the day, temperatures at the summit can drop near freezing at night. A rainforest in the middle of the desert, hidden inside Texas. Fact 16. Salt wars. Out near the Guadalupe Mountains sits a wide, flat expanse of white land called Salt Flat. It looks like a smaller version of Utah's Bonneville, but the story behind it is far more Texas. Millions of years ago, an ancient sea evaporated here and left behind a massive salt deposit. In the 1870s, that salt became the flashpoint for a full-scale armed conflict. Mexican-American communities who had harvested salt from this land for generations collided violently with newcomers claiming legal ownership. The conflict became known as the Salt War of 1877. Men died over salt. That is Texas. Fact 15. Glowing Canyon. In the Texas Panhandle, there is a canyon 120 miles long and 1,000 feet deep. It is the second largest canyon in the United States, right behind the Grand Canyon. It is called Palo Duro Canyon, and if you have never heard of it, you are not alone. Its red and orange rock layers look otherworldly. The walls glow at sunset, and yet somehow most Americans have never heard its name. It might be the greatest underrated natural wonder in this country. Fact 14. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. That is the official Texas Pledge of Allegiance. Texas is one of only 17 states in the country with its own state-specific pledge. And the Texas flag is flown at the exact same height as the American flag. Not below it, not above it. Level. In Texas, pride in the state is not a personality quirk. It is practically a constitutional requirement. Fact 13. Pineapple hail. On June 2nd, 2024, storm chasers near Vigo Park in the Texas Panhandle measured a hailstone that was 7.25 inches across. For reference, that is roughly the size of a pineapple. It shattered the previous Texas state record, which had only been set 3 years earlier. The world record hailstone is 11 inches. It came from South Dakota. At this rate, Texas is working on it. Fact 12. Dinosaurs. In 2022, a severe drought lowered the water levels of the Paluxy River in North Texas, and the riverbed revealed something hidden underwater for over a century. Approximately 75 dinosaur footprints, dating back 113 million years. The tracks belong to massive sauropods, those long-necked plant eaters the size of school buses, and a large predator called Acrocanthosaurus. These were not replicas. They were not casts. These were the real, original footprints of creatures that walked this exact stretch of Texas when it was a shallow coastal plain. You can go visit them. Dinosaur Valley State Park. Look it up. Fact 11. Caddo Lake. Texas legend says the massive Caddo Lake in East Texas was conjured overnight by the Great Earthquake of 1811, a seismic event so powerful it rang church bells in Boston, reversed sections of the Mississippi River, and allegedly created an entire lake in Texas. The real story is almost better. A natural logjam on the Red River grew so dense and so massive over so many years that it eventually dammed the entire flow of the river. The water backed up, flooded 60 square miles of cypress forest, and created a swamp cathedral. 60-foot cypress trees draped in Spanish moss, winding bayous, mirror still water that looks like it belongs in a ghost story. Both explanations feel impossible. One of them is true. Fact 10. Glowing Lake. On certain summer nights near South Padre Island, the Gulf of Mexico begins to glow. Not metaphorically, literally. Electric blue light pulses through the waves as they crash. A passing boat leaves a glowing wake behind it. A hand dragged through the water traces a line of light. This happens when microscopic bioluminescent plankton called noctiluca are disturbed by movement. They flash. They do not know they are beautiful. They are simply reacting. Locals call it the glowing beach. It happens only a few nights a year, without warning or prediction. If you are standing on that shore when it does, you will never forget it. Fact 9. One state, 10 regions. Most people think of one Texas. There are actually 10. Texas spans 10 major ecological regions, from the ancient piney woods of East Texas to the volcanic mountains of Big Bend. Annual rainfall ranges from 8 inches in the driest desert areas to 56 inches in the forested east. The state has 91 mountain peaks exceeding 1 mile in elevation. It has tropical coastlines, freshwater swamps, high desert plateaus, canyon badlands, and dense river valleys. Within a single day's drive through Texas, you can go from near Sahara to near Appalachian. It is not one state. It is a continent with a governor. Fact 8. Tallest state capital. The Texas state capitol in Austin stands 302 feet tall. The United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. stands 288 feet tall. Texas's capital is 14 feet taller than the nation's capital. This was not an accident. When the building was commissioned in 1888, Texans made absolutely certain their capital would be the tallest state capitol in the country. They called it a testament to the grandeur of Texas. They built it taller than Washington, on purpose. Of course they did. Fact 7. Gushing Springs. Beneath the city of San Antonio, there is a river. Not a metaphorical river, an actual underground river system flowing through limestone caves up to 3,000 feet below the surface. This is the Edwards Aquifer. The pressure from all that underground water is so intense. It forces springs to erupt at the surface as if someone opened a faucet at the center of the earth. Como Springs, San Marcos Springs, they just gush. The Edwards Aquifer is the primary water supply for the entire city of San Antonio. Approximately 2 million people drink from it every day. It has been flowing since long before anyone was here to notice. Fact 6. Killer bee. In 1990, Africanized honeybees, the ones the news spent years calling killer bees, crossed into the United States for the very first time. The entry point was Hidalgo, Texas. The city of Hidalgo's response was immediate. They built a 10-foot-tall, 2,000-pound fiberglass killer bee statue on the exact spot where the swarm was first detected. They made the killer bee the city's official mascot. The statue still stands today. Only in Texas do you commemorate a near disaster by building a giant monument to the thing that almost got you. Fact 5. Oil rich. Beneath West Texas and southeastern New Mexico sits a geological deposit called the Permian Basin. It produces approximately 40% of all oil extracted in the United States. Roughly 15% of the nation's natural gas comes from this same area. Over 7,000 oil fields spread across more than 18 counties, tens of thousands of wells. Without it, American fuel prices, American industry, and American foreign policy all look significantly different. It is one of the most consequential patches of ground on the planet, and it is in Texas. Fact 4. Frozen cattle. February 1899. An Arctic front swept south through the Texas Panhandle and did not stop. Temperatures in Tulia, Texas dropped to negative 23 degrees Fahrenheit. It remains the coldest temperature ever recorded in the state. The cold moved so fast and hit so hard that Galveston Bay froze completely solid, and across the open ranch lands of Texas, an estimated 40,000 cattle froze to death in a single night. Not over days, not over a week. One night. Texas does not forget its winters. Fact 3. Wind energy. Texas has over 15,300 wind turbines, more than any other state. An installed wind capacity exceeding 35 gigawatts. In 2023, wind accounted for nearly 26% of Texas's total electricity generation. That means wind energy in Texas surpassed coal. The same open panhandle plains that once launched cattle drives across the continent now power millions of Texas homes with nothing but moving air. The wind never stopped blowing. Texas just finally figured out what to do with it. Fact 2. Mexican bats. Near the town of Rock Springs in West Texas, there is a limestone pit 350 feet deep. The opening at the top is 60 feet across. Every summer evening at dusk, 3 million Mexican free-tailed bats erupt from that hole. 3 million. They spiral upward in a column so dense it registers on weather radar. The sky darkens, the sound builds, the column twists. It lasts for hours. It is one of the most dramatic wildlife events in North America, and most people have never even heard of it. Fact 1. Earth, Texas, USA. There is exactly one place on Earth with the official name Earth. 1. On every map, in every atlas, in every database on the planet, there is a single dot labeled Earth. It is in Lamb County, Texas Panhandle. Population just over 1,000 people. The town was renamed in 1925 after officials discovered another Texas community already had its original name, so they picked a new one. And now, on a quiet stretch of flat West Texas farmland, there is a water tower, a post office, a main street, and a zip code, all belonging to the only place called Earth. Of course, it is in Texas. 25 facts, one state, and we barely touched it. Texas is a geological time capsule, a weather laboratory, a folklore machine, and a cultural force of nature all packed into one enormous, impossible place. If you are from Texas, what did we miss? Drop it in the comments. If your state is next on our list, trust us, it is weirder than you think.